Welcome to 5 and 5 from the One Stop Co-op Shop, where I discuss 5 key elements of a game in about 5 minutes. I'm Michael Kelly, and today I'm looking at So You've Been Eaten, specifically the 2 different solo modes in the game. And a quick disclaimer that I was sent a review copy of this one. I enjoyed this one back when it was on crowdfunding, but is it too light to hold up to repeated plays? Let's find out and get to the list, and this time it's going to be a little bit different. I'm going to do 3 points for the minor side of the gameplay, and 3 points for the beast side, since they're basically different games, instead of 5 points overall. Starting with the minor solo mode, which I think is the best one the game has to offer, my number 3 is a mix, and that's looking at the beast's turn, the AI's turn. On the positive side, it's very quick and straightforward. You roll a die, resolve an effect, usually taking away some of the cards in the row. You add more cards to fill in the track, and then they get the top ability card to their stack. It becomes active. So that's all good, it's quick and simple, but on the negative side, it's pretty random. Some of these results actively help you, and some of the results hurt you, so it can really be swingy difficulty-wise based on what rolls they get. And then similarly, some of their ability cards can be really terrible, some aren't that bad, but in fairness, they generally give you at least a turn to respond to them, so you never lose the game immediately because of one of these, so that I don't mind as much. Point number 2 for the minor is a pro, and that's the balancing act you have to do with the tactics in the game. So you have very limited actions, but a lot of things to focus on. You can upgrade your actions to give yourself more options. You can go for the crystals that actually win you the game, but then you also want to manage the line of stomach cards and make sure the one in the front that's going to hit you is not going to raise up the wrong infection tracks and make you lose suddenly. And the reason this works so well for me, even in such a simple game, is that you never have enough time for all of these actions. You're having to take sacrifices, you're having to make substandard moves for some things, or push really hard for the crystals and hope you don't get punished otherwise. It's really nice. And the final point for the minor, related to point number 2, is the dice placement itself. This is also a pro. It's a very simple dice placement system, but one that works really well. You can place your dice on the different action systems, and only a few of them are limited by the value of the die. For most of the rest of the actions, the value of the die actually corresponds to the stomach card that's affected, so you're kind of doing this interesting thing with the values and sort of looking at the line spatially, and one card and one effect can move another card that can make the values of your dice kind of hit different parts of the beast. So it feels a bit like spatial management married with dice placement, and I really enjoy it. Now, moving over to the beast side of things, my number 3 is a mix, looking at the immune response cards the beast can level up with. On the positive side, some of them have interesting powers, especially ongoing ones that can help you out. And it also offers the beast interesting push your luck choices, because the more crystals you leave in your stomach, the less these cards cost you, but that means that the minor has an easier time getting them. But on the negative side, against the AI minor, they tend to destroy these very easily, so the possibility of actually building them up and kind of keeping cool powers around generally doesn't materialize. And also, a lot of the cards just don't have very interesting powers. Now, it doesn't mean they're useless, because you can still protect those numbers against other effects. It can make it less likely the AI will do other things at those indicated numbers, because they might shoot your card instead, but still they aren't always that inspiring or exciting. My number 2 point for the beast, though, is a pro, and that is the management of your stomach cards. I think this is, while a simple game mechanic, a pretty interesting mix of tensions. As I already mentioned, you have the choice of putting crystals out for the minor to get them or keeping them in your hand, but you can't generally spend crystals in your hand for other costs, so you do really kind of lock yourself up by trying to block the minor from accessing them. Also, to get the quick win on a minor by building up one color a bunch, you might want to put a bunch of the same color in a row, but if you do that, then the minor is opened up to blasting a whole bunch of them. So you have these choices of things that could open yourself up to reprisals from the AI, but also could bring you closer to winning. I just think it's a nice kind of hand management puzzle overall. But my final point for the beast is a con, although there are some positive points to it, and that's the randomness of the game and kind of the swinginess of it in this solo mode. First of all, the actions of the AI minor itself, while very easy to resolve, can swing drastically, kind of like what I said with the beast as well. Except here it's way more swingy, because if they get a crystal or miss a crystal, that kind of changes their entire victory outlook. And an especially big swingy element is how they deal with the colors in front of them and what they get hit by, because that can give you the win instantly or take it away. Really, in this solo mode, I've had games that were incredibly easy or incredibly challenging through not necessarily any choice that I felt of my own, so not entirely ideal for this type of game, even though it is very quick. So I can recommend So You've Been Eaten if you like variety in an inexpensive package. The ability to play this this one 1 versus 1, and to play either solo mode is a lot of fun and definitely a good value. I can also recommend it if you like simple, straightforward solo dice placement games. I think the Miner game is the best way to play solo. But if you're looking for deep, meaty experiences, or if you're averse to randomness, I don't think either of the solo modes is really going to float your boat too much here. And if you want to see the game in action, I didn't do a new playthrough because basically what I played in the prototype is the same as the final edition, but you can click that video up there if you want to see the game played. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I'll see you at the next stop.